Okay, but let me tell you, the feeling of being there, of walking the streets of the future, is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
Cyberpunk 2077 was first announced all the way back in 2012, with its first trailer being revealed in 2013. This game managed to fly under my radar for a very long time, while most people were hyped about the next CD Projekt Red release along with the upcoming Witcher 3, which took the gaming world by storm at the time. So you can only imagine the expectation for the game after an 8-year wait and multiple delays, and once the game was finally released, well, things didn't go as planned. So, since its release to the moment of this recording, what happened to Cyberpunk 2077? So let's rewind a bit and let me explain my brief history with Cyberpunk. As I mentioned before, this game was under my radar for a long time. It probably wasn't until after its 2018 E3 trailer where I started to hear about this game from podcasts and YouTube. I still didn't pay it no mind as I only had one history with the CD Projekt Red game in The Witcher 3, which I had mixed feelings about. The game was great, but I just have a personal issue with being immersed in games that are set in that era. I mean, funny enough that I do have a background in playing RuneScape when I was younger, but I guess as I got older, that medieval era type feel, I just can't get used to it no more, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to immerse myself into that world. So with Cyberpunk, I felt that maybe it can be good or probably even better than The Witcher, seeing that it's now set in a new era of the world of, well, Cyberpunk. And I have an understanding of the quality of the product from The Witcher 3, so I was expecting that maybe this game could be well put together. So around early 2020, I started to finally take interest in the game. Granted, at the time, I wasn't having the best of press with the constant delays, and with the pandemic kicking off, that didn't make things much easier, as well as crunching the employees so they can make sure that it finished. Things was looking kind of shady for Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red. But I was chatting with a pal of mine in Discord about upcoming games and what they were most excited for, and all they kept on saying was Cyberpunk. So I guess that was like the final straw for me. So I decided to finally watch the trailer after all this time and see what this game even was, because the only thing I knew about the game up till now was
You're breathtaking.
So I was kind of in the dark. So fast forward, December rolls around and Cyberpunk is finally released, and without any build up, no expectation or hype on my end, I purchased the game day one. Could possibly go wrong. Well, it turns out a lot can actually go wrong. So I'll be mostly speaking about my personal experience with this game, but it'll be hard to ignore everything that surrounded this game during its initial release, even now. But that being said, this game had a very bad launch. It's up there with Battlefield 4 for me. The amount of bugs and glitches this game had were horrendous. It had the usual visual issues, objects floating, NPCs being invisible during dialogue, invisible walls between open doors not even allowing me to progress through the mission. But this was also one of the first times I had a game crash on me as well, making the game almost unplayable for me at times. And all of this was during the initial heist mission. By the time I finally got to finishing the heist mission, I low-key thought the game was at the end. It took me that long to get through all the issues as well as doing some side missions, not knowing it was only just a prologue to the game. I lost the immersion in the game. I also didn't fully grasp the game mechanics as well, not knowing that you can craft your play into a specific build, so my V was all over the place with the way I did his progression, as well as being kind of intimidated by his skill tree, so I wasn't sure what I was really doing. But I was already committed to the game, and I was just playing the game just so I can beat it, and then I was just gonna uninstall it. I also didn't even like the ending I got in the game. Of course, I wasn't really fully aware of the game's story and being immersed into it, because by that point I was just fed up with the game. So the ending didn't stick with me as it should have, or just didn't resonate with me. So I just felt like I just got a crappy ending. So I left the game overall with just a bad experience. So why am I here now making this video talking about this game? Well, there was one thing Cyberpunk did right. I didn't fully understand it until I got to my second play, but I was slowly growing an attachment for the game. Not sure what it was I was being attached to until it hit me. CD Projekt Red did one thing right with this game, and that was crafting the beautiful world that is Night City. So after my first playthrough, I just left the game alone. Some part of me told me not to uninstall it though, but I haven't touched the game in a while either. Then it was like fate. I was going through another gaming slump in my life where I was noticing the pattern of me constantly playing the same old games again, getting drained and bored of it. I wanted to experience something different, something for myself, as I was getting tired of the multiplayer grind. I mean, playing Apex after a while got boring. Like even with that game, I got bored. I literally took a break from that game for like 3 seasons. I just recently started getting back on the game again. So I was just looking for something new or just something to break that mode and that cycle out my life. And then that's when I thought about maybe jumping back into Cyberpunk, but I was also skeptical of dealing with all those issues again. But then the announcement came. The 1.5 patch update had been announced to be released soon, and it felt like the timing was just perfect. They fixed most of the issues in the game, as well as added some new features such as owning new apartments, new weapons, and being able to change your appearance mid-game, as that was actually a big issue of mine as well when I first played the game, because my first dude looked trash. But I kind of made him look like that on purpose because the concept was that I was going to change his look as the story progressed, not realizing that I couldn't change his look when I got to that point. So I had to sit there and look dusty the entire game. But just before I started to play the game again, I didn't want to make the same mistake as last time, so I went in with a game plan this time, how I wanted my second V story to go and what kind of build I wanted to focus on. As I was playing, that's when I truly understood why this game always stuck with me. When you truly take the time to invest in your character and the story, immerse yourself in this greatly crafted world, that's when you can truly see where this game starts to shine. I mean, there's something about Night City that's just so beautiful. Like, just the environment, just being there and hearing all the sounds of the advertisements going on, hearing just the world moving. Like, it felt alive. It felt like you was in this place. And as much as I tried, like, it was still hard for me to like grasp myself around the map, because it felt like it was just this big maze that you could get lost in. Like, every nook and cranny was just something new and something different. Like, they really took their time crafting the city. And then there was the Outlands, like just going out in the desert and doing all the stuff there when you meet the Aldecados and all of that. Like, just everything about this game was just amazing, bro. So I was just hooked into this game. And right before I was getting ready to beat this game for the second time, a thought popped into my head. I didn't want to end this journey, man. Like, I was really getting invested into this game, so I thought maybe I should go for a 100% completion. And yeah, that's basically what I did. I went through all the achievements, and while I was doing it, I was loving the game more and more. Like, I was not getting bored of this game. I was just enjoying going through everything, going through all the challenges, all the gigs. And after hours and a third playthrough later, I managed to get all the achievements and I 100% of the game. So as I'm ending this off, I do want to make something clear that I am not the end all be all for Cyberpunk, I guess propaganda or whatever. As I said, like, this game was not in my radar at all until the game released. I finally decided to say, hey, I just basically just took a gamble on it. Compared to some people who have been waiting on this game for a long time, not as well as following the lore of the game, as this game actually has lore way beyond this game. I believe this game was originally a tabletop game, if I'm not mistaken. If anyone will correct me on that. But yeah, so there's a whole lore to this whole Cyberpunk universe, and I just thrusted myself into this with this one game. So I don't want to say take my advice as the end all be all, but at the same time take that as how someone can just throw themselves in the middle of this and still end up completely fallen in love with what this universe is and what the game and the lore is. So yeah, just wanted to get that out the way. Now, as of the moment of this recording, Cyberpunk has recently released a 1.6 patch, adding a few new gigs, weapons, cross progression, and some bonus content to coincide with the anime that was also recently released to very high praise. That anime was actually very fire and it gave me the feels. I think it gave everyone the feels. I highly recommend the anime as well. You do not need to play the game to watch the anime. So you can actually just watch the anime by itself. And if that gives you the motivation to jump into the game, hey, cause that anime actually is sparking me to do another playthrough right now. Actually, I'm thinking about making a build that's focusing on one of the characters from the show. So hey, take that as you will. They also have announced a new expansion coming to the game next year, which I can't wait for. So for me personally, Cyberpunk isn't going anywhere in my life, and on top of that, I have officially declared Cyberpunk to be one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. And at this rate, it could actually rise up. Just waiting on that new game plus though. But this game is managing to win back the hearts of those that felt they were betrayed by the game, as well as bringing in new people now that the hype around this game seems to have been reignited once again. And being someone who went into this game with little to no expectations, being displeased with the product, to over a year later stating that this game is one of my all-time favorite and giving me the drive to even like do this video, I do highly recommend people to play this game and give it a chance, whether if you tried it before or if it's your first time. Like, this journey the game has been through from being announced a decade ago to the amazing product that it is now just show that there was a vision for this game that the developers wanted to make sure that the people witnessed. Despite the numerous delays, having the employees crunch for the release, and having that initial launch failure, I mean, they knew there was always something there and they didn't want to abandon the game. And just for that, I look forward to what the world of Cyberpunk has next in store for us. But until then, that is what happened to Cyberpunk 2077.